Chapter 4 Man's Mirage of Happiness. Let me start with a small anecdote about happiness. A saintly or a philosopher type of person was seen late at night, desperately searching for something under the streetlight. Many people gathered around him and kept asking him what he was searching for so late in the night. After some time, he answered that he was searching for his house keys. So they asked him where he had last seen the keys. He truthfully replied that he has seen the keys inside his house. Upon hearing this, they started laughing at him and calling him a fool. But why was he searching for the keys outside when the keys could only be found inside the house? He added that it was more convenient because there was light outside under the street lamp and darkness in the house. Now the crowd was more amused and said that that was no reason to search outside. He should start his search inside, even with a small candle, as he would have better chances of finding the keys inside the house. The saint answered that is it not what most people were doing every day of their entire life, trying to find happiness in the world outside, when the key to absolute bliss already existed inside their body? Now it was the turn of the crowd to stop laughing and be silent. The audience was impressed with how easily the saint has shown them a straightforward and practical way to find the elusive happiness. What the saint has said was 100% true, and that they were the fools and not the saint. From womb to tomb, humans knowingly or unknowingly pursue happiness all their life. Man is motivated by two inevitable impulses: increasing their joys and reducing their sorrows. He engages himself in an endless chase for happiness. He avoids undesirable objects and a disagreeable environment. That is why humans like a favorable ambience around them. Since childhood, they know about it and finally admit it as the achievement of an elusive feeling called happiness. Now, is it actually inside us, as the saint had said? It is therefore vital to analyze by asking these fundamental questions. How can we be happy? The answer is by knowing our true nature and connecting with divinity. Why do we suffer in life? The answer is because of our excessive attachment to the relations and the materialistic things of this outer world. We mistakenly think that they are our source of happiness. However, the definition of happiness keeps on changing as per our biological age and social surroundings. Let us try to follow this mirage of happiness in a chronological order. Since childhood, we first think of mother and father or our guardians as the visible forms of happiness. They make lot of sacrifices and keep us protected in our comfort zone. Later, as we become parents or guardians ourselves, we realize that it is not an easy job as we used to think. No amount of money can even come close to repaying the sacrifices made by our parents or guardians. As teenagers, we think that happiness seems to be excelling in education, sports, mingling, blending, or fitting in within the friend circle in school or college life. As adults, we are thrilled to get a steady and par excellent job. This feeling is also soon overshadowed when we start on a never-ending collection of material things. The latest gadgets, a high-end car, or a spacious house. A fanatic zeal drives us to be accepted and honored in as many social circles as possible, and eventually be included in the list of social media. As we get invited to every important event in the community, people respect and surround us. When the media follows us, we may feel that name and fame can genuinely be called happiness. However, as we get married, the horizons of happiness again seem to slither farther away. The Mirage now includes multiple luxury cars and mansions and the powerful public seats of power. We toil endlessly to fulfill our desires and expect that finally all our relations will return our favors and respect us. We assume that this has to be real happiness or the golden pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. However, even though our family and friend circle expands, our expectations are rarely fulfilled. As we grow old, our physical body starts to fail us and suddenly starts to cry foul by complaining of poor health. Happiness suddenly seems to take a U-turn and shifts its pursuit from material things and wants a strong and healthy body. We desperately try to buy back our health, but in vain. All the wealth that we have earned now seems useless as it cannot return our youth. As everything outward appears to be failing, true happiness at last seems to be beckoning us inward. Life's bitter experiences reveals to us the shocking eternal factual truth. Happiness is not a ready-made thing that can be bought from others or in any market, but something that must be felt within a kind and contented heart. When the mind is agitated, we experience sorrow, and when the mind is tranquil, we experience joy. Happiness, therefore, is dependent on the condition of our minds. The mind alone is the reason for harmful stress and also for the healing inner bliss. Philosophers and spiritual masters have concluded that even though the outer world's material things were temporary comforts, they never held any actual permanent happiness. This is the time when our spiritual friend, the divine sixth element, or the soul, is awakened to guide and comfort us. It makes us realize that we should have revised and reversed our happiness goal much earlier in our life. The soul then seems to take control of our physical and spiritual life. Our Creator has so intelligently put the bliss inside us where we can never lose it. The irony is that humans keep searching for it outside, so they have difficulty achieving it. We may finally come to realize that the mirage of worldly happiness never existed outside, and that the elusive fountain of joyful bliss was actually flowing inside us. All we have to do is sit in silence, and we may feel that at last we have somehow connected with the actual permanent inner peace. Hinduism describes it as Satchita Ananda, or the real and everlasting joy, or the true inner bliss. Buddhism aptly calls this destination of life's journey as enlightenment or nirvana, salvation. Tongue, our friend or enemy. How do we make friends or enemies? How do we develop a charismatic or evil personality? How do we create good or bad karmas? Surprisingly, the answer lies on our faces. We have been given 2 eyes, ears, nostrils, and lips, but only 1 tongue, which is tightly guarded by 32 teeth. The tongue is the abode of sweet words, and at the same time, it is also a home of a deadly poison of critical words, which can easily make or break our fragile hearts. Remember that WORDS words and SWORD sword have the same 5 letters. Still, wounds caused by the sword can heal in time, but the damage caused by insulting words of the tongue may take a lifetime to heal. So choose your words very carefully, especially when you are in a hurry, or angry, or drunk, or not stable-minded. Thus the tongue can be our best friend and brings us to new heights of popularity, and at the same time can become our worst enemy by bringing our downfall, so everyone may hate us. This means that we should have the patience to listen first, see next, smell the danger, understand and assess the situation, and finally present our side in a humble and comforting tone, using gentle words in front of others. Life is like a journey on a train. As we start our train journey, our parents and relatives are already there to orient us about the trip. They go down as their destinations arrive, meaning death. Friends and enemies also board on the train, and for a short time, after a short time with us, they leave us with good or bad memories or experiences when they were with us. Eventually, many come and go. Finally, our own destination also, meaning death, also arrives. And we have no choice but to leave the train called life. But at hindsight, it is not what we talked or shared with our fellow passengers on the train journey called life. It is how we made them feel when we were together. Hence, deal with everyone with a smile on your face and keep a silent and listening attitude. This will help maintain relationship and eventually give us the inner happiness which we have been seeking. This gentle approach of dealing everyone with a smile is called diplomacy or tact of words and action, and is rightly called wise maturity. Words spoken after careful selection can become our allies and bridges to fellow humans. Ambassadors, diplomats, or spokespersons are hired precisely for these tactful services. That is why human species are called wise men. If tact is not practiced, these words will become like a sword, creating poisonous barriers which will affect all relations. We will end up destroying not only our inner peace of mind, but anything or everything else in the process. This will leave us as regretful loners and angry individuals for the rest of our lives. These verbal assaults will inflict maximum stress on us and cause physical or mental illness. Bad karmas will be accumulated, making us pessimist and depressed in this life and beyond. You will feel like you are burning in your own fire of anger and revenge in your own physical body and mind, in a sort of prison called hell. Rage is like a toxic poison which hurts the vessel more in which it is stored, that is our body, than to your enemies. After we understand this, we should safeguard ourselves against our impulsive, harsh words. The inner human nature. Humans' habits have proved that the easiest thing in the world is to find the faults in others or play the blame game. Ironically, the hardest thing in the world is to see our own faults and acknowledge them. We always minimize our imperfections and magnify other people's mistake. To do this, we carry with us two tools which we use for daily discrimination. The first is an invisible telescope, and the second is an invisible microscope. You may ask how? We use an invisible telescope to see our faults or mistakes and mentally try to convince ourselves that they are small or trivial. Usually, our first instinct is to try to deny our errors mentally and seldom acknowledge them openly. Thanks to our colossal egos since childhood, we have convinced ourselves that God has made only us superior or perfect. We again use the same invisible telescope to make things look smaller or trivial by not giving much importance to the pain of others' troubles. It may be physical, mental, financial, verbal insults, etc. A practical example is that every day at breakfast time, as we read newspaper or watch the news on TV, there are reports of many people dying in accident or in grave danger of death. But after a glance, we turn the page over or change the channel. Now, if a hot tea is accidentally spilled at the same time and scalds us, we may spend only a few minutes in intense pain. But we use the invisible microscope and magnify it by blaming others and making it a big issue. We use the same invisible microscope to magnify someone else's faults or shortcomings. We make a mountain out of a mole and blow it out of proportion, either in panic or to put others down. We take great pleasures in broadcasting and magnifying someone's mistake, even though they may be physically challenged person. By embarrassing or insulting others in front of others, we foolishly think that we are doing a great job of proving ourselves as superior thanks to our ego. Later, as sobriety sinks in, we regret a lot and realize how foolishly we had acted at that moment. We also usually use this microscope to magnify our good deeds and boast about them to the whole world. They are often forced to listen to us because we are wealthy or in power or are popular with the masses. As time passes, self-realizations or wise advisors show us the mirror of truth. Wisdom teaches how we became puppets of our own emotions. But even then, we seldom learn our lessons or heed our own advices. On the other hand, when others do good things and it is time for us to reciprocate the multiple favors, we use the same telescope to make other people's help look smaller, and we are never sincerely grateful to them. A very classic example is our ungratefulness to God. From womb to tomb and even beyond, our divine sixth element takes care of us. We may not see our invisible Creator's hands, but His daily gifts via nature are visible, and we eagerly partake from them. This is further evident by the ungratefulness shown by the children towards their parents. Even though Children know about the multiple sacrifices of their parents. Very few reciprocate by taking good care of them in their twilight years. Parents, friends, and teachers are often compared to visible gods who help mold us from womb to the tomb. Still, due to moral ignorance, we seldom fail to acknowledge their real importance during their lives. Hence, humans have regretful feelings and go on mentally weaving webs of complicated misunderstandings, unfulfilled expectations, and broken relations in this world. These feelings often return to haunt us in our twilight years. Time teaches us, and we mature in wisdom in the school called life. We start to learn from painful experiences and our mistakes. We always come to a straightforward conclusion, and that is, if I had only reversed the procedure, I would be in a better position today. It means that I should have used the invisible microscope to magnify my own small mistakes throughout my life. I should never have forgiven myself so quickly, so I would not be in this mess today. I could have used these telescopes on my achievements. I should not have become boastful and created friends and enemies, but could have remained humble and friendly, thus saving many valuable relations from breaking all those years. In the inner battle between positive God and negative Satan, we also carry two invisible eyeglasses. You may ask how. The answer is that we use the blind trust based on the godly rosy glasses on a person. We adore, love, and trust. Hence, when we adore someone too much, we prefer to see only their good qualities and disregard the apparent faults that others can see and even warn us about them. Therefore, they say, love is blind. There are also times when we put on Satan's hate glasses and think negatively. As a result, we see only the person's bad qualities, and in a fit of anger, we deliberately disregard the past good attributes and intentions. We know, and other keeps on explaining it to us about that. Hence, we say hate clouded our sanity. But if we were to reverse the procedure, things could change because we do not judge correctly, as we were biased and blinded by love or hate. That is how many small or big personal misunderstandings take place and end up in lifetime feuds. As we calm down and true realization dawns in, we see the other person and his intentions or agendas in their actual perspectives. A moment is enough to break a relationship, but a lifetime may be needed to mend it. If we continue to use these two glasses selflessly, this will let God's sixth element loose and Satan prevail in this daily emotional battle. We humans have to learn our lessons in time, or we will regret the daily dilemmas of right and wrong and our choices as we approach our twilight years. Spiritual heaven or hell. Christianity describes heaven as a higher or holiest place, a paradise. In contrast, hell is characterized as the underworld or the low or wretched place. Heaven is believed to be universally but conditionally accessible by earthly beings according to our various divinity standards. Islam claims Jannat or heaven as the final abode of righteous and the Islamic believers. Jahannam is a place of blazing fire called hell. It is located below heaven, having 7 gates, each for a specific group or at least a different person or party of sinners. Hinduisms call heaven as Swargalok. Naraka is the Hindu equivalent of hell, where sinners are tormented after death. It is the abode of Yama, the god of death, located in the south of the universe and beneath the earth. Buddhist cosmology say heaven is the Tritrishma, which resembles the Olympus of Greek mythology. They refer to hell as Naraka, of purgatory closely related to Diyu, or the hell in Chinese mythology. After reading these descriptions, a crucial point to ponder is that we are almost daily reminded that if we ace this test in the school called life with a A+ grade, we will be eligible for a free stay in heaven. But if we get an F grade, we will force to languish in a place called hell. So where exactly are these two places, heaven and hell? Are there some actual faraway physical buildings awaiting our arrival? Well, no one has provided us with any concrete answers yet. So as per the theory we are following, that everything is spiritually situated inside us, this implies that we should also analyze this heaven and hell theory in the same manner. The sixth element transfers our good and bad karmas on a memory cloud to the next birth. As a possible theory, is it possible that our karmic grades may decide about where we may take our next physical birth? In modern days, we need inborn or acquired talent to achieve our professional goals. But as per Hinduism and Buddhism, let us assume that our skills have to be supplemented with a good karmic grades. If we were to secure good karmic grades in this life, will we be rewarded by being born in a rich and influential family in our next birth? In this sense, can this not be considered as enjoying heaven? So if we were to get better grades, souls are reincarnated on higher realms in rich and influential families and live a life in a sort of comfort zone or in a heavenly state. The medium grade gives us birth in a middle class family where we get little of everything. Here amenities are temporarily made available to us and we continuously struggle to keep ourselves hopeful in the changing times, good or bad. And finally, if we carry over the worst grade, we will be reincarnated in a low-income family or lack material stability. We will have to struggle our whole life and be forced to eke out a living, facing multiple problems with lots of stress and tension. Can this not be considered as languishing in hell? Of course, our karmic record, carried over by the divine sixth element, plays an essential factor in deciding the duration of the time or the term of our stay in our heavens or hells and the amount of stress factor resulting from our past lives. That's why people turn to different ways like palmistry, astrology, tarot cards, and omens to know their future, hoping that their luck will change and times, good or bad, will not last forever. Daily, we see some of these practical aspects. A sudden swing of luck which produces instant billionaires like lottery winners and ordinary people hitting substantial casino jackpots. A drastic change from one class to another is seen due to a sudden chain of events confirmed by the media, like bankruptcy or shameful events that upgrade or downgrade us against our will, like puppets. I use my imagination and advance a practical theory which logically fits the modern day random patterns of lives. The above theory explains why do good people seem to suffer and why do bad people seem to enjoy life. Why are we surprised to see many undeserving people being successful with fewer sufferings and still they seem to be rewarded with little effort? On the other hand, many deserving people have to undergo unnecessary suffering and their hard labor appears to result in low earnings. That is why, as seen in the modern mortal world, whatever kind of life we are living may be considered a reward or a punishment of our past life's deeds, until someone else presents proof of actual physical buildings like heaven or hell awaiting our arrival. We may use our freedom of free choice to accept or reject the spiritual heaven or hell theory. Joke time! See the guts. In an international Navy summit, admirals of 3 nations were traveling on a ship with their soldiers. They all wanted to prove which of their Navy soldiers had the most guts. So the first admiral said to his soldier, "Jump down and swim once around the ship." The Navy soldier, "Aye, aye, sir." The soldier immediately dived into the sea and followed the command. The first admiral boastfully, "See the guts." The second admiral told his soldier, "Jump down and swim twice around the ship." The Navy soldier said, "Aye, aye, sir." The soldier too immediately dived into the sea and followed the command. The second admiral said boastfully, "That is guts." The third admiral told his soldier, "Jump down and swim 5 times round the ship." Navy soldier, "No, sir, no. If I die there, who will take care of my family?" The third admiral boastfully, proudly, "Now that is real guts." The other admirals were surprised. "What guts? He did not even swim." The third admiral said, "All your soldiers followed your order blindly, while none of them had the guts to disobey your direct command. It requires a lot of guts to disobey a direct order from a superior admiral. So, see his guts."